Hello and welcome to today's edition of Your Questions Answered with Father Gruner. I'm John Veneri. This program is where we take your questions that you send to us via email, and Father Gruner answers them and we discuss them. Please continue to send them to us, questions@thefatimacenter.com. Today's question it has to do with apostasy. And it says, can you explain what apostasy is and describe to the audience how apostasy has crept into the Roman Catholic Church?
So 2 questions here. 1, what is apostasy? And 2, how's it got into the Catholic Church today? So the first part of the question is apostasy is more than heresy and more than schism. So in order to explain, I still remember Malachi Martin talking about the third secret. He went on to explain heresy for 5 minutes, schism for 5 minutes, and then there were 10 more minutes on what apostasy was. But the word apostasy in itself means rebellion. So when we're talking about apostasy in the context is the rebellion of Catholics against Christ and against the Church. Mm-hmm. Now, and the apostasy is a term that's used in the Bible by St. Paul, and he tells that the Antichrist will not come, that is I would say more exactly, if I could say it, will not manifest himself, and maybe that's how he puts it, until the great apostasy comes. And so, but before someone say, well, if someone's heretical, isn't that apostasy? Well, every apostate is heretical, mm-hmm. I would say. And every apostate is schismatic, but not every schismatic is apostate, and not every heretic is apostate.
Apostate is the worst.
Is the worst. Yeah. So schism basically, popes can be schismatic, and I think Paul VI was schismatic, in the sense that he gave an order, or gave the appearance of an order, which caused division in the church. Mm-hmm. And schism means the breaking apart of unity. Now, usually unity is from the lower end, refusing to acknowledge the authority that superiors have.
Which is different from disobedience.
Which is different from disobedience. So if someone says, don't drink that water, and I drink the water, and I acknowledge that my superior, I'm not a religious, but a superior would have the right to tell his subject, don't drink the water right away. And if I were a religious priest and I drank it, I would be being disobedient. Mm-hmm. However, I'm not saying by doing that you don't have authority to do it. I'm just not going to obey you in this particular matter at this particular time. Whereas a schismatic says, I'm not only not going to obey you now, I'm not going to obey you ever, because I don't believe you have any authority over me at any time whatsoever. Now, maybe a superior gives an order to say, don't drink that water, but I know if I don't drink it, if I'm in some sort of medical condition that I would die, I have to realize that my superior doesn't want me to die. He would be a bad man if he wanted that to happen. So I drink the water, not because I'm being disobedient, but because I'm understanding that he doesn't intend the outcome which he's commanding, and I have no way of communicating with him. So I take epikeia, I'm interpreting the law or the rule according to his intention, mm-hmm. not according to the letter of the word. Our Lord said the Spirit gives life and the letter of the law kills. So if I disobey the letter of a law, but with the intention, just in civil driving, for example, if I'm driving down a road and you have a double white line or double yellow line, you're not supposed to cross over. That's what the law says. But if you see a man lying there, he's alive, but the only way to avoid him is to drive in the ditch or drive over the edge, and you're going to kill yourself. You can't do that. Or is to drive over him, or to drive over now there's nothing coming the other way, so you drive around him, you cross the double white line. You've just literally broken the letter of the law. You drove over the double white line. So you broke the law. You're disobedient. You should be fined. No. The intent of the lawmakers, legislators in Washington or the state capitol or wherever you are, the intent is to save life. It's not to destroy life. And so that man's lying there. If you drove over him, you'd certainly kill him. So you have to obey the intent of the law. You have to break the letter of the law to drive around him, crossing the double white line. So that's what is interpreting the intent of the law. You haven't got time to say, by the way, can I do this now? You can't. You have to make the decision yourself. So, unlike disobeying the letter of the law or disobeying the actual law, is schism, which says, I don't accept your authority whatsoever. Period. That's it. So, in which case then it causes disunity, because you have people who will obey the bishop and people who won't obey the bishop, and the bishop has authority, then it causes division among yourselves as well as with the bishop. So, but in turn, the bishop or the pope can be schismatic by giving an order he doesn't have the right to give. We saw that, for example, in the case of the Old Mass, when Pope Paul VI never said that the Old Mass was forbidden, but he or his people around him certainly gave the impression that it was forbidden. And so families were saying, you're not obedient, you're going to the Old Mass, but the Pope said you can't do that. The Pope didn't say it, but he gave the impression of saying it, and that's enough to cause a division. So that's schism as in itself. How far are we going? Because I don't know, maybe we'll have to explain this a little bit further.
Well, we were talking about apostasy, and we were distinguishing between schism, heresy, and apostasy. We could pick up the other two in the next program if you like.
Okay, that might be the
okay,
best.
all right. So we will pick up about heresy and apostasy in the next program. Thank you.